the story of Ash is an amazing story. When I started with cloud computing 15 years ago, you would tell me that I would be looking at a bank that was born inside the cloud. It would be like science fiction. So we're definitely having some changes in the way that we referencing cloud computing and the way that we treated that. Go for here. And now we are going to have Aner. This one. Okay.
Good. This? Yes, working? Okay. All right, everybody. Nice to meet you all. We grow. My name is Aner. Nice to meet you. I'm Torq's CISO. Working for Torq for the last 3.5 years. Starting back in the 2008, where it's still called information security, not cyber disruption. I'm coming from the SIEM/SOC world mainly. Been several places. One of them, when you see up closely in a few minutes, worked for Outbrain for 3 years. Afterwards, a startup called Interdisciplinary, and as mentioned initially, like the 3.5 years as the first security personnel for Torq, the the hyper automation platform, and today as a CISO. And in the next couple of minutes, I will take you down to a short travel of time, a story, telling the story of the SecOps from automation point of view, like 7 years ago till today. And as mentioned, I was working for Outbrain from 2017 till 2020. And I was recruited as the first SecOps pillar, mainly to build the security operations and automation domain to make SIEM and security works together or being great again. So on January 2020, I had a deck presenting this exact deck, presenting our journey towards the automated SOC. What you're actually seeing here, and you see in the next slides, are actually the original presentation I gave back in 2020, telling the story of the very first SecOps bot we built back then. So, in terms of statement, back then, again, we understood that SIEM alone is not enough, especially when your organization is roughly 800 employees, and no homegrown traditional SOC is plan to be. So we adopted an approach and a concept of a good and effective automation. Like it was change of perception, like perception of thinking about automation and how we can harness actually the employees into the triaging and mitigation process. So we understand that we understood the SIEM alone is actually not enough. Sorry, yes. We understood the SIEM alone is not enough, and hence this is the question we were struggled with, actually. First one is how do we set automation-based solution for multiple or recurring alerts? Second one is how do we engage employee on mitigation process such as email, chat, or scripts? The third one is how do we get employees' feedback or acknowledgement? And the last one is how do we fast and effective enrich alerts data? So we set up a criteria for a POC, which we thought was a quick win, but apparently not. And the criteria was first, handle security alerts quickly and automatically. Second, enrichments on events on the fly. Third one is engaging employee when needed. Of course, not merely needed for all use cases, till full mitigation. 24/7, hopefully, of course, always on, fit to global companies such as Outbrain back then, and security customer facing to the employees as a bot for asking questions and response. So the main POC challenge was obviously, number 3, is engaging people to full mitigation. This was also the most challenging one, and actually we struggled how do we harness, as mentioned initially, the employees into the triaging process of a use case. So for making employees' approach a real deal, these are actually the technologies we had at our disposal. So although we had the Ferrari sim, or shall I say McLaren for yesterday, and for the other parts point of view, which is the open source U-Bot, CoffeeScript, HipChat was before Slack, we needed actually, I would say, easily a miracle, and lots of luck to succeed here. So fast forward, the POC, because I have 10 minutes, fast forward, POC was a successful one. What you see here behind, if you can have a good look, the blurred code behind is actually the real CoffeeScript that used to first accept webhooks from Splunk, second, invoke the API of HipChat to engage with the user. This is how it looks. So we use this engagement for a specific use case of a new location login. Saying, I noticed that you logged in into the Outbrain network from a new location, Israel. Since you haven't logged in from this location before, I want to make sure it was you on the other end, and then the user need to acknowledge or respond. And finally, when the code invokes, the code actually, the CoffeeScript invokes the do MFA API for verification, making sure that the user is indeed the one answered. And finally, Splunk notable opens per need. Okay. Don't freak out, because it might sound easy, but really, guys, reaching that point was really a heavy process, was tough, was kind of a really hair-ripping process, mainly because we don't have any official bot framework to work with. It was an open source, the U-Bot. Again, the U-Bot CoffeeScript is really nightmare. Hence, the debugging is, oh my God. Number 4, we didn't have any IDE. It was just print, save, execute, and just pray it will work with no exceptions, and over again, iteration until this is actually worked. And number 5, it's a challenging process to scale. Why? Because a new security use case, hence, means expanding bot, means dev hours. And I'm a security guy, I'm not a developer. But frankly, I was able to do that and learn some new stuff. Open source, number 2, open source future changes, which of course affects compatibility. Number 3 is non-mainstream, again, dev language, CoffeeScript, which code debug, support, and maintenance overhead, and of course, time to market. So what we did, we bought the Misto, and we started investing in playbooks. Like the same use case you see here is actually the use and foreign login we used to, we developed for the, on the U-Bot. Same doing with Torq today. This is where I work, but on steroids, and sorry, I'm not objective. And until 2024, where the major shift in detection engineering kicked off for us in my team, actually, where is from my perspective, actually introducing the new and exciting era for a new detection engineering approach, which means that detection by prompting. So we started actually shifting, like in the last year, from a long, complex workflow into a single prompt, either an agent or a tool as a standalone AI task. So what we have today, among others, is we have an agents army for various domains, for logging, threat hunting, for GitHub Actions, anomaly threat hunting, third-party suppliers, security due diligence, SIM connectors, health checks, and all of these scenarios were previously Torq workflow that we migrated. So actually we dismantled workflows and authored prompts addressing these exact scenarios. So here is an example, a quick example of a GitHub anomaly detection, threat hunting. I'm about to finish. Threat hunting agent. When you see actually top button is the index equals GitHub, means that this GitHub events are in a Splunk, and the agent is using the Splunk tool and the integrations to execute the queries. This is next the detection objective. I'm running, yeah. Number 4 is the another detection objective, but now for the velocity issue in sense of user actions. Number 3, again, one more high-risk action monitoring with the Splunk exact query to run by the agent. And finally, the alerts, alerts threshold, which are actually equals to the where conditions you probably put in your SIM. So what we had, LLM, calling LLM, executing prompt, makes its reasoning, using Splunk tool for executing each query scenario, gets back Splunk's result, digesting, and finally pushing insightful report to security team Slack channel using Slack integration, and this is how it looks. We get those actually per need, but usually what we do is bi-weekly, and the Slack reports send once the agent processing completed. Quick, what we gained, content understanding of prompt engineering is obviously understand nuance, can investigate and resonate about edge cases, natural language versus most explicit define every API call, synthesize current narrative versus concatenate, tiredness of concatenate fields and structured data, and adaptivity, update behavior by refining prompts versus requires re-architecting logic. Made it? Okay. Thank you.